1 2 تيست ميكرو 1 2. مرحبا بك سي نزار. Un, deux, test micro 1 2. 1 1 2 test micro 1 2. 1 1 2 test. ستريم نورمالمون تتعدي لك الكترونيك خاطر نخدم الكارت سون. خذ خلينا نسمع بالرسمي. بس اشوف الكونكشن والله يجي وقت الحلو في سامي يجي وقت. هذيك المشكله، ريت ما فطرتش راني تو ما جوعتش. لما كي تفطر الحلو الصباح تجوع فيس. لا، تو وقت كعبه شرباتي. بالنا حاجه. تيست ميكرو 1 2. 1 1 2 تيست ميكرو 1 2. تسمع عادي في الصوت. شوالي مش زوم هذا شوالي بوك. ما نقدرش كيف لي بوك. 1 2 تيست ميكرو 1 2. أوراق نزار. بالروتار. أما الروتار أنا حاططها. لا، لا مانيش حاططها في اللايف، لا، لا، جست للصالة كهو صبري. ambiance صالة كهو. Test micro 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Test, test, micro 1, 2.
Test 1 2 test.
Test, test. Ok, parfait. On commence? Ouais, il aura dit, ok. Parfait, on commence comme à la fin. Ah, déjà? Ok. All right, we can start. Yeah. Commence. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this great session, and really excited to share with you the work that we've been doing at Gomycode for the past few years and month. Really excited also to have Katie with us today to share more the work we're doing around AI, around education, and how we're integrating AI within education. I mean, this is really important work for the years to come. And
Yeah,
yeah, Katie.
yeah.
Mm.
Good morning, Tunis. How are you feeling today? That's not good. How are you feeling today? Okay,
Great.
so we have a great plan today. Exciting program to present. So no, I mean, yeah, go ahead. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So I have actually really, so we have three presentations today. We have a presentation on, yeah, yeah. So we have three presentations today. We have a presentation briefly on Oh My Code, just to share status and update where we stand today as a company. We have one around this Gomyteacher new product that we're introducing. And we have a bit of a small presentation later on the technical aspect of the LLM and how we managed to integrate this within our system. Yeah. So GoMyCode today, we what we do is we provide quality education in over 35 cities. The idea is when young people access good quality, relevant education on digital skills, there is tangible economic impact on their situation. They access better jobs, better pay, better opportunities. And the way we do it is we make one education really affordable. We're talking about an average curriculum price of 300 to 700 USD. This is unprecedented comparing to universities, for example, or traditional training centers. And two, we work with partners like Microsoft, like Adobe, like NVIDIA, to also provide certifications on top of the training. Um, and we have unprecedented traction as an edtech in Africa. We are actually the largest growing edtech in Africa in 2024. And yeah, so this is really the mission on the stage of the company. So the idea is to provide trainings that are relevant, that will get people jobs in the market, and also get them to be exposed to a wider, bigger job market that is not just the local job market, but in a bigger picture, the global job market. So we have students today based in Tunis, based in Dakar, based in Lagos, but working for US-based companies, for Asia-based companies. And so the tracks are around data, marketing, design, software engineering. So these are the four schools. So the promise is to provide the latest technologies and the latest framework. So we constantly updating, iterating on these tracks. Mm,
Absolutely, and an important point. I mean, you see the importance of the first one, like data science, deep learning. I think like one of the things I'm very excited by like when I look at the work done by Yahya and the Go My Code team is we're really transitioning from I'm just learning to code or to do like programming in AI to learning how to use very advanced AI agents. And really, like this is something where Oh My Code is at the forefront. This is extremely critical. This year, we're going to have AI agents with IQ capabilities the order of 120. This is already done. Like, for example, like Gemini 2.5 Pro to 150 IQ, like getting closer to genius. So the idea here is this is really critical education because you are learning not only to but to ultimately manage a team of programmers, which are AI agents, like digital colleagues, if you want. So really, like critical work done by Go My Code, inserting AI into the curriculum in multiple ways,
yeah,
like we're gonna see.
yeah. So exact, and we see this as an exciting opportunity. Almost every aspect of the job, let's say data scientist, digital marketer, designer. developing, there will be a big AI component assisting the job and the function itself. So we're gonna talk about data scientists assisted with AI agents, marketers assisted with AIs that can generate image, copy, same for the design, same for the development. So we actually in each track, we're integrating 25% to 30% of the track will be around AI agents and AI tools. This creates really a great opportunity for programs like GoMyCode because you don't actually need to like have really that depth in the matter. With a lot of tools, you can really progress and be able to ship products at a really rapid
Exactly,
pace.
like the sort of like the speed at which you can get productive is quite remarkable these days, and really like this is still very like supply constraint. There is a lot of demand for programming, and even with AI agents and the like, we are still supply constraint, which means the value of the programs being developed here is quite remarkable.
Yeah, and it's exciting opportunity because now with a team of one developer and one data scientist, initially they take them a few months to be able to build a prototype or an MVP. Now there is the speed is just way massive. So yeah, so this is really around the tracks and the
Also
programs.
means you
Yeah,
can ship your product in a few weeks now.
yeah.
Like the hurdle to get to a product has never been that low
Yeah.
ever.
So this is just on the scale of Gomycode today and the cities where we operate. So we operate around 35 cities in 8 countries. This is really important because the rationale of us making an AI today that is capable of doing auto-grading or other functions comes from this nature of the business that is uh, in many multi-country, in many multi-language, multi-cities, multi-cultures. So we need to be constantly thinking about ways to improve quality while having this footprint. Um, to be able to use the scale, we rely on tools today. So we have, for example, an assessment that we use to evaluate teachers. We have a learn operations to manage all the scheduling payments of the teachers. Just to give you a sense, we have 1,000 teachers integrated at Comicode, and we manage their payments, scheduling, capacity. There's a capacity planning challenge, and we manage this using Learn Ops. We also have an app for teachers, very similar to the app that we have for Uber Delivery Guy app, but also for teachers. Teachers can see their pay, their content, their schedule, their planning. They can rate their teachers, and we have their students, and we have the student app, which is an app for students where they can validate projects and create content. So I mean, so the idea is we have property data. Now we're starting to integrate AI and seeing the improvements that we can make within the talent, within the learn operations, within the teachers, within the students. And the idea is for each part of the app, we're starting now with the learn teachers. So we started building for teachers, and this is the thinking process that we had. We teachers today spend a good chunk of their time doing a lot of operational work behind. With AI, we want to improve efficiency, and that's where we started building this AI-powered tutor. Basically, we're building tools for teachers for now. It's not going to be directly to students, but technology is really an integral part of my code, and since day one, we've been building tech. Um, so maybe just talk briefly about the Go My Code products. So we have five. So as we at Go My Code, we have a product approach. So we see educational programs as products. We have five big products. We have essentials and boost. These are risk like upskilling products for professionals, for students, university students, high school students who usually like studying, working, but they want to upskill and access like a word certification from NVIDIA, from Microsoft. Bootcamp is for people um, uh, that are graduates finished with the university system, but careers or take another direction. Online, it's a fully online integrated product. You don't come to the school, but you have the same online experience. Certifications, the product where we deliver third-party certification from NVIDIA, from Microsoft, from Adobe, from we actually integrated 15 certification providers, and we have the School of Technology, which is our product where we deliver MSc degrees, the master degree, but it's an online MSc degree, and within the EU system and the EU regulatory system. So these are the five products that we have at Comico today. We utilize the same infrastructure. So when I say infrastructure, it's the same schools, it's the same integration team and same admission team. It's the same tools actually that we use. What changes every time is the length, the curriculum, and the parameters of each program. And we really drive impact the past 7 to 8 years of Gomycode existence. We trained 50,000 students. At a good 30% of that in Tunisia, actually. So one third of the 50,000, a good 35% in Tunisia. We have we 70% achievement on the boot camps today. We managed to close 70% on employment rate, and we have 70% plus NPS. So these are very solid numbers in terms of capacity and operational execution. And we really deliver impact. So education is a very impactful business and product. It's extremely hard to scale and grow, but the level of impact that you can provide is really enormous and important. We have students coming from really different backgrounds, from really different stories, and we see also what's really exciting is complete similarities between Go My Code countries. So it's the same students that are in Senegal, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Tunisia. Really, they have similarity and strong approach, motivation to learning and really growing economically. So yeah, I mean, this is oh my god. So really brief and where we stand today and what's the size and the stage of the company. We're clearly in an infrastructure business here, so we're building infrastructure, and the work we're doing around AI and why we decided to have this partnership with InstaDeep is really to reinforce our infrastructure. There's one fundamental aspect of what we do, which is affordability and accessibility. This is a vital component in education. And when you look at the units of company in education, you start looking at the units of a company. The first cost structure is the that you have in a business education is the teacher basically. So if we manage to make the job of the teacher much efficient, uh, faster, imagine teachers with AI can train more students. They can focus on the delivering on the experience. There is a way for us to make education more affordable, more accessible, and this is really the core principle why we
And
decided to
better
make
education.
and better education and better outcome. And yeah, so really happy to announce Go My Teachers today, building it with Karim and with Ansible.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So the spirit is, yeah, when we kind of talked a lot about AI, yeah, but it's not about just talk, it's about doing the stuff. And really, like, we talked with Yahya and the team, how could we inject AI into the operating process of Go My Code? And actually, there are multiple entry points. Like, you can use AI for multiple things, but like, what's the lowest hanging fruit that could deliver value, that could create really like a better curriculum? Because
yeah,
I kind of agree with the sort of like, hey, it has to be more efficient, and hey, you're a startup, you need to scale. But ultimately, it's about really like better quality in education, more personalization. And so, for those reasons, we decided to focus on the teacher, and
yeah,
that is go my teacher. And
yeah,
if we go to next slide, the idea really is we built an AI assistant to the teacher that will accelerate the ability of teachers to do their work and do it better and faster. And what's interesting is we are accelerating the grading time by 10x. So literally like saving 90% of the time the teacher
yeah,
used to like take to grade. That time can be reinvested into spending time with the student, into thinking about like better personalized sort of like
yeah,
curriculums for that particular program.
yeah,
And so this is revolutionary. I don't think
yeah,
there is anybody in Africa that has achieved this. So really, like I want
yeah,
to congratulate both the Go My Code and the InstaDeep team that
yeah,
have been working together
yeah.
to make this possible. This is a historic day for education in Africa.
Yeah, and this is already integrated and running within the Gomec platform. So we
It's
have
deployed, yeah. It's
it's
in
deployed
production. That's it. You
in
know, let's
production.
not waste time.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a demo later on the on how actually it works. What's really interesting about this is we look at the tasks. So if you take a teacher and we look at okay, what's the teacher job today at my code, and okay, we look there's 30% of the teacher's work is around grading assignments, projects, exercises. There's a good 30% around building content, creating exercises. There's another 40% of human to human interaction and facing. And we looked at the first hanging fruit, which is reduce grading by 90% and by 10x actually, and to provide instant AI generated feedback to create eventually really personalized experiences. So Gomyteacher, the AI assistant, to improve and enhance learning. We're starting with when you look at the challenges in teaching, exactly, so teachers are overworked. There is an average of 53 hours per week. Students need support and quality feedback on their assessments and projects. And teachers-led programs are quite expensive today. That's why there is an explosion of online self-paced programs. But when we need a teachers-led programs are still 10x, 15x higher than the self-paced programs. So these are really severe challenges that teachers are facing today in their
And the teacher would much prefer spend time with the student than spending time
yeah,
grading.
yeah,
And so the key question: how can we
yeah,
do this and still do it in a way that doesn't deteriorate the quality of
yeah,
grading, actually improves it? And we're going to have extensive presentations
yeah,
from the two teams.
yeah,
But essentially, we have achieved actually better grading, which is fascinating. Not only it's 10 times faster, but it's actually better
yeah,
grading, fully scalable,
yeah.
and like you said, already deployed. So
Deployed.
that's the first module we have,
Yeah.
which is the next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the next, which is
So yes, which is iGrade.
AiGrade.
Yeah, that's
AiGrade.
that's 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 the news for today. So
Yeah.
iGrade is deployed. It's live on the Go My Code platform, and it's already covering like a very extensive set of classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have over 3,000 active students getting daily feedback from the system. We have 1,000 teachers already using the. We talked about roughly 30,000 projects assessments a month are getting graded on a monthly basis. At this scale of Gomycode, I mean, this represents 30% of what the teacher at Gomycode spending their time on. This is massive gain in productivity. But also, we're going to discuss it. Actually, what's really important around this is quality. Students are getting immediate actionable feedback. So the time between the student submission and the students getting a feedback is reduced drastically. We're talking about from spending one day waiting for the teachers to submit and rate the project to like few minutes, in many cases to like 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And most importantly, there is improvement on the quality because when we look at the student submissions are really specific to the students. So the answer of the teacher needs also to be really specific to the students. When we started comparing before and after, we started looking at a much higher level of personalization in terms of answer and in terms of feedback given to the students. So this is really important. Um, so yeah, and the benefits for teachers are great. So we have eliminating grading overload, instant insight on students' progress. There's a focus on what matters, which is teaching, which is being with the students, and there's no tech hassle for the teachers. Everything is integrated and partial of the platform. I mean, the core idea is we want teachers to be spending more time mentoring, that's where the value comes from, and spending less time correcting. And when you look at the teachers' time, they're doing a good 60% of their work today in the back office, basically, correcting papers, correcting projects, noting, building content, and 40% of their time is allocated to students. We see massive gain on impact, like on quality, but also on impact toward the students. We measure this. We know this that when teachers spend more time with their students, there is higher impact. Basically, so we don't see it really AI replacing teachers or teachers replacing AI. We see it basically AI human collaboration. This is AI assisting human toward a really specific collaboration. So we see it more like empowering rather than replacing teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is
Mm.
this is very important point. Like people can ask, like, what's the end goal here? Do we want to replace the teacher? And actually, we don't want to replace the teachers. We like education, like the human to human content, and like is extremely important. It's like also when you're in a class, like you're bonding
Yeah.
with colleagues, like you're learning better, faster. You want to keep that, but at the same time, you want a much more sort of efficient system.
Yeah.
And the best way to look at it is really like those AI systems will become like digital colleagues. And we're moving from, let's say, like human organization to human slash machine model. And the best way to think about it is the two ingredients are extremely important and add to each other. So, done right, this is gonna unleash significant improvements not only on quality but also scaling.
Scaling, exactly. And this is again, this is a human in the loop verification. So teachers verify the AI, they approve the AI, they edit the AI, and we have an 80-20% rule. And I mean, that was a pre-assumption, which actually represents the truth and reality today, which is AI does 80% of the teachers, and the teachers complete with a 20% with professional. So that's how we see these tools. So how it works, basically, it's very simple. You create the assignment, um, details in seconds. An assignment, you can think about it as an exercise, and you have multiple different types of assessments. It can be a project, it can be a quiz, it can be blank exercise, any types of possible assignment. You assign it to a specific class or cohort. So assignments belong to a class. You create and set up evaluation grid and grading criteria. So you set basically the way you want to grade this assignment based on evaluation grid and grading criteria, and receive once you receive the student submission, and you can start grading submission. So it's a really simple 4 steps, drag and drop, or in many cases, if the system is integrated with an API, the AI is doing everything, and the teacher is just looking at the answer and doing. But it's a really simple usage. And again, we're talking about a human in the loop, teachers verify AI. Right? So yeah, I mean, the platform is actually live on gomyteacher.com. You can sign up. Once you sign up, we're gonna reach out to you and help you integrate this tool. So we there are different. So we're talking about two types of integrations here. There is a platform called Gomyteacher. So this platform is available on .com, gomycode.com, and gomyteacher.com, and can be used by teachers directly. So this is more like a subscription agent, very similar to GBT, but very specific on assignment and grading.
And
And
actually, even
yeah,
like teachers outside Go My Code can use it, right?
so exact. So we're opening this platform for teachers outside Go My Code, and teachers outside Go My Code can sign up for the platform and have access to the platform and use it. The only difference is that instead of the system being integrated through an API in the school or in the educational institution, this is like its own platform. So teachers need to import and assignment submissions just manually every time, but it's available. And the second integration, which is it's an integration through an API. So this can be easily integrated through any LMS, any learning management system, any learning platform. We actually did an integration on the GoMyCode learning platform, but there is an API integration. So if you're like a teacher or like a school owner or university owner, or you can either request an API integration or a platform integration. And really interesting, a really strong level of flexibility. So there's a way to edit feedbacks, to improve grades, to like basically inject comments. Um, there's auto upload submissions. You can trigger grades and track grading. Yeah. So it's very flexible in terms of integration. It's very simple. So I mean, just to give you a sense, it took us 6 months to build the system. 3 weeks to integrate it within our learning management system. So talking about few weeks for this to be up and running, and you can see immediate impact within a month.
And that's quite impressive, and it shows again the importance of having a thorough, like a well thought out data platform
Yeah.
into any project. Because Go My Code is so well organized as a platform, actually plugging in a powerful tool like
Yeah.
AiGrade on top was not actually that hard.
Hard.
If you have to start from scratch and build all the capabilities that are deployed in production here, could take years,
Yeah.
but because we have this strong foundation,
Yeah.
with collaboration between the
Yeah.
teams, this was actually done in record time. And actually, it would be interesting to see, like how much this is novel in Africa. To my knowledge, like there is no edtech at scale that has ever deployed this on the continent. So genuinely a novel paradigm,
Yeah.
and it's already live, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, which is, I mean, so us, we clearly focus on educating people, and our core business is around educating people and having people access jobs and opportunities. But we saw a great opportunity on opening this technology to other schools, other university, other teachers. this can have really great potential and impact. So of course, I mean, when you look also at the way that, of course, this needs to be managed with a good and strong level of consciousness in terms of sharing feedback. So, for example, w- why, and when to use the Gomyteacher teachers also. It doesn't need to be final submissions. It can be mid submissions, because this is a great way to give also students feedback on their projects, not just on their final project. So we see it as there is a formative assignment, there is summative assignment. So it doesn't need to be just the final assignment. You can be at the mid assignment, and the students are struggling to basically to finish their assignment. So there's a way to give more feedback for students to finish their assignments. Um, Sharing feedback could be sent through email, can be shared through a PDF file. So there's just different ways to sharing and
And the feedback is quite
yeah,
important. So we're not just giving grades. We're actually explaining the grade and providing detailed feedback. And the A/B testing that we did, yeah, yeah, right,
yeah,
showed that actually the students prefer the AI feedback to the regular say,
yeah,
feedback. So this is very cool, and it remains also under control of the teacher. This
yeah,
is extremely important point. This is not a black box where people are just gonna go and sort of like hope for the best that the answer is correct. This is still controlled
yeah,
by teachers. So the AI is sort of like a smart assistant, smart colleague to the teacher, doing the least interesting part
of
of
course,
the
yeah,
job and doing it well under the control of the teacher.
teachers,
Extremely important. So
yeah,
literally, like when you think about it, there is zero downside to this.
yeah,
Like, it's not like, oh, I let the AI system, but then I'm taking a risk, and what if the AI goes
yeah,
crazy? No, everything
yeah,
is under control here. So net, is a very clear positive.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, there are like best practices in terms of using the system. There's of course certain limitations. So this will improve through time, and we will refine the AI usage as more teachers will be submitting their feedback. Teachers actually can rate the submission, can say that the submission or this grading is incorrect, and I think that this system will eventually get really stronger and smarter and be better. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
it will. This is the
yeah,
worst it will ever be. That's
yeah.
the beauty
This
of it.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
no matter how good it is today,
yeah,
it will be better tomorrow. That's a certainty.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can bring the Gomyteacher to your school to have faster feedback turnaround, equity in grading, higher teacher retention. We actually know that if teachers are spending more time with the students and more time on much interesting stuff, they can have actually higher retention on the teacher, and you're gonna have improved standardized scores. Like a company like Gomyteacher, we have 1,000 teachers in over 35 cities. We have a synergy around quality. How to make sure that the quality is standardized across the 35 schools, 1,000 teachers, and this is a great. Now we know for sure that okay, our grading and the feedback that we share with the students is top notch, and like this is an absolute truth, where before it used to highly depend on the one single point, which is the teacher's feedback, and so I mean so there is improved standardized score. So yeah, so this is really the platform, and actually it's available on gomyteacher.com. You can
Try it.
yeah, try it. You can apply. We'll send a follow up with an integration. We're looking to test this with a lot of schools, universities, with teachers, and we're really open to experiment around this. So the last presentation is actually go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And so really, like this would not have happened without great collaboration between Go My Code and Instagram. As I said, Go My Code has a fantastic platform, one of the best in Africa, if not the best, from data integration, sort of like clever modular approaches. And what the Institute team brought was the fundamental AI expertise, knowing what is the cutting edge in the industry, how it can be completely deployed, and really like this is work hand in hand with like the team at Go
Go
My
my code.
Code, and again, this shows the power of collaboration and acceleration by AI. This is kind of like the dream I have for startups in Africa and in Tunisia, is that we join forces to build something that frankly, others would look even in Silicon Valley and say, "You guys built this?" They're like, "Yeah," and so it deployed at scale. That's the spirit. And so with that, I'm very happy to actually have the Insta team tell us a bit more about the work they've done with their Gomyteacher colleagues.
Great. So this works. Okay. Thank you, Kareem. Thank you, Yahya. So yeah, with all of the amazing stuff that we've been discussing, now we can have a look under the hood of how iGrade works. Yeah. So just for presentation overview, we're just going to talk about more about the assignment types, introduction, the quiz grading system. For example, we have the quiz, the one-to-one, the URL-based assignments, and we're going to also provide some results and benchmarks. And we're going to finish with a demo and see how it works. Okay. Just yeah, to introduce everything to with everything that's constantly growing and we have a lot of students at my code, so everything the the grading process is becoming manual and it's really time consuming. We have also fair concerns as, for example, uh, manual grading can lead to some inconsistencies in the grading, and of course the delay in the feedback that students receive, they take a lot of time to actually get feedback from their teachers. So automation is needed. So the solution that we provide is iGrade is actually an automated grade and a feedback system that leverages LLMs to actually automate the grading process for the quizzes, the different kinds of projects, the quizzes, the mini projects, capstone projects, etc. And the main added values that you would draw from this as a student or the teacher is that you would get significant time savings, as we've been discussing. Also, like you get consistent evaluation across all the students, the scales, uh, and also you have personalized learning growth for your students through personalized feedback. Okay. Now, the assignment types, just a quick overview of the assignment types that we have at Code, for example, that we've been working with, the data we've been working with, is that we have tracks and super skills and skills. What you need to focus on right now is just what to follow with is that we have the quizzes, the one-to-ones, the checkpoints, and the lab pages. So the quiz is just an MCQ. The one-to-one is a set of question answering, as we're going to see later in the demo. And the checkpoints are just, you can consider them as mini projects. And the lab phases are like projects that are divided into multiple phases and let's say big projects. Okay. So now let's talk about how is the actual grading happening. For the quiz, the quiz is basically a set of questions, and we have options for each question. The iGrade will provide a feedback for each question and a global one for the whole assignment. So basically, you don't really it's going to focus on what are the areas the student actually excels at and the areas that they are lacking in. So the feedback is going to be customized for let's say the whole quiz. Okay, the one-to-one right now we're going to talk about the one-to-one, which is the assignment. One-to-one assignment is composed of different blocks. So each block is composed of question, student answer, and the golden answer. The golden answer is basically the reference. So the grading system will have that as an input, and the output will be the same block with grading that's passed from the LLM grading, and the feedback personalized for that specific answer for the question, and global assignment feedback as well, demonstrating the overall performance of the student. So, for the grading systems, we actually experimented with different ones. For example, there are the zero shot, which is single item prompt, the quality tier, for example, system which uses different tiers of, uh, let's say, the answers. For example, if we do not just provide a golden answer, but provide medium quality answers and low quality answers for the LLM to actually see and have larger context window on what the actual answer would be from the student and how it actually grades it, and we lead to better, uh, let's say, grade. Also, there is, for example, we'd use multiple LLMs to evaluate the student, and we would get the select most frequently assigned grade. There's also the self-reflection. Self-reflection system is actually interesting as the LLM would reflect its evaluation, and it would actually um, reflect iteratively until it's satisfied with the evaluation. that's what the evaluation will be passed to the student. So for the one-to-one grader, let's say you have, for example, this is the whole pipeline, and you actually have the one-to-one grading system, and you as a student or a teacher, for example, you want to grade your assignment, you do not really have the golden answer or the generation, the perfect answer or the reference. So you can use the golden answer generator to generate that answer. We're going to see this later in the demo, and also you can even augment it. So everything will be passed to the grading system, and you, as usual, you'd receive the scores and the feedback. Yeah. Now we can move on to the URL-based assignments, which are the checkpoints, as we've discussed earlier. And yeah, Gabriele will take the lead and explain this more in details.
Hello to everyone. Yeah, so just as a reminder, the checkpoints and log pages are basically small exercises. I was saying the checkpoints and log pages are what are small projects that are done by the students, and the main difference between these and the one-to-one is that the exercises done by the students are not submitted through the Gomyteacher platform, but mainly through other external services that can be either Google Drive, GitHub, Google Docs, etc. Okay. Now I will show you shortly how the pipeline of the grading is done by the LM. So for the first phase is the classification of the type of checkpoints that the student submitted. So the main point of this task is that the Gomycode platform cover a broad range of different types of exercises that can go from coding to presentation to CV completion, etc., etc. And what we want the LM to do is to assess different skills. So, for example, if in a coding comments a person does a spelling mistake, it's not as severe, but in a CV completion, that's quite severe. So we want the LM to know that based on the type of checkpoint that we deal with to control different stuff. This is done in a smart way. So not every time that the student submits something, we use the classification system that, by the way, is also powered by the but we use a caching mechanism that let us to improve significantly the time of the classification. Here you can see all the different type of categories that we have, and they cover very many different topics. And this was done thanks to the government platform and data that let us actually cover and understand the type of task that the students like and that the student want to know more about. Uh, However, even if we have many different categories, a lot of the students actually really like coding exercises. So here you can see that the most popular category is actually coding exercises that in the checkpoints cover more than 90% of the exercises, and in the lab phases it's around 80%. And this is also the reason why I will often talk more about the coding exercise and the other categories, is because from the data that we have, it's the most popular category. Okay. So now the students submitted this checkpoint. It's done through an URL, but this URL can be um, can belong to many different services. These are the most popular ones. So, for example, Google Drive, Figma, Photos, etc., what we wanted to do is not to force the students to use the kind of platforms that we like, but we wanted to meet the demands of the students. So what we did is that we analyzed the data from codes, and then we picked the different platforms that the students use, and we implemented different downloaders to actually be able to handle all of these different kind of submissions.
Yeah, just something to add in there. I mean, it's really cool stuff in there because you're not really limited to any kind of platform. So you just it's like drag and drop whatever you want to submit your work at, and just submit your assignment, and we'll handle it for you. So it's everything is automated and just happens very in a very good way.
Yeah. And so following the same philosophy, we also didn't want to limit the students to use a particular format of the data that they submitted. So as many knows, LMs are only capable of rendering text and images, but the students want to submit different types of formats. For example, PDF are very popular, text are very popular, photograph files are very popular. So what we did, we let the students choose their own format, and then we converted them to the format that we can actually use with our own AI grade. So another issue, other than the formats that the LMs can handle, is the amount of data that the LMs can handle. So the LM have a thing that is called the context length, which is the number of data that we can give the LM before it gives an error. The main issue is that the students sometimes they don't know this and they just submit a lot of data without really caring if the data is needed for the grader or not. So what we do is that we do a two-step selection of the data that are submitted by the student. So the first one is deterministic. So we have a list of data that we know that are not needed by the grader, and the second one is actually powered by an LLM that will decide by its own the kind of data that are needed for the final grading. So now we have the student has submitted the data, we have downloaded them, we have converted them, we have selected them. The last phase is the actual grading. So based on the category that the LM chose, we will pick a different system. I just wanted to mention here is that the LM is actually agnostic to the category. So even if a new kind of category comes out, our system will still work. The only small issue is that the submission is categorized into the correct category, then probably the, the solution will be a little bit better. So the actual output of our system are two. So the first one are the criteria, scores, and feedback. So the instructor can actually input different criteria, and each one of them will have a score and a personalized gift feedback. And then we will have a general report about all the different criteria and the project submitted by the student. Here is also the phase where we give the students suggestions on how to improve. Okay, now I already did it. Maybe here it's a little bit clear. So just as a summary, the students submit its own project. Then the project is classified into category. We download the data. We do the first step of the filtering. We convert the files to a format that is readable by the LLMs. We read the content of the files, and if the files are too long or there are too many, then we use a system that is able to select only the user file, and then in the end we do the actual grading. As you noticed, I spoke mainly about checkpoints and not about phases. I did this only because we actually handled the phases in the same way. So we treated the lab phases, which are kind of the final projects of a course, were ensemble of the different small projects, which are basically our checkpoints. So lab phase is first graded phase by phase as a checkpoint, and then we one last grading of the whole project.
Yeah, something. Yeah, yeah. Just something to add in there. I mean, the scaling actually of we have the building block for the checkpoint to scale to the lab phases, I mean, and that takes me back to the point that Yahya and Karim discussed earlier, where we want to actually integrate this into other schools or universities. So these building blocks can be injected into different platforms, into different systems, and these can be scaled easily into different kinds of data or other types of assignments, which shows really the flexibility and scalability of this system. Yeah.
Now let's see some of the results. So I will first talk about the results for the one-to-one and then of the checkpoint. So here for the one-to-one, we use the different type of metrics. The first one is called NEC, the second one is accuracy. So basically, the NEC tells us how much wrong our system is. So it just doesn't tell us if we were wrong or correct. It tells how much we are, how far we are from the actually good answers. And the second one, instead, it just tells us if we were correct or not. In general. So, as Nizar mentioned before, we had different type of grading system for the one-to-one, and in the end, the best solution were the ones that called the zero shot, so the simple and call, and the quality tier were the ones that gave us the best cost time ratio. And yeah, as you can see here, the majority vote actually got the best accuracy. However, the execution time was triplified, so we we preferred using other solutions. For the checkpoint is much more difficult to give actual numerical results because the main focus of the checkpoints is the report. The report is the most important things that the student gets. It's where the actual students get value from the platform. However, since they're words, we cannot really show numerical method for it. So what we can show is that on the Gomyteacher platform, here you can see an examples where we inputted a GitHub link and the platform was able to handle it well. And we tried the same thing with two different external tools. The first one is the CoGrader, which is an AI grading tool that you can find online. And it was able to understand the content of the GitHub link. However, in the content of the GitHub repository, there were some images that were not handled and understood by this tool. The second one was ChatGPT. On ChatGPT, we tried to submit the GitHub links, but it straight told us that it couldn't do that. Okay, here it is just a summary of the main advantages of using the grading for the checkpoints. So the first one is that we can handle a broad variety of URLs. We do a classification step that let us improve the results of the grading. We filter the data for the students, so the students doesn't need to worry about the data that it has to submit. The grading notes and the structural output. So the grading notes are personalized for the student and the immediate, and the structural output helps external platform implement their own grading system on top of Gomyteacher. Okay, now we will show you a little demo. The first part will be on the Gomyteacher platform, and the second one will be on the playground.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. I will first show you a little one-to-one on the Gomyteacher platform. We can do live. So here it will be about web, apparently. Yep. Okay, let's resume the course. And let's do the, wait, no, need the project. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Do you want to do it?
Just some of the context on the Gomycode platform. So this is the Gomycode learning management system. It's a system that we built fully in-house, and we've been iterating. And basically, you have the content that the students are going through, and the way it works in a nutshell is students are going a set of skills, and for every set of skill, there is an exercise. So that and there are different types of exercises, assessments. So one of the assessments is the one-to-one, the type of assessment. Maybe you can go back to the learning on the content just to see how we achieve the. So yeah, I mean, this is the chapter. These are the skills, and the structure is for every set of skills. There is an assessment. So the learning is project-based. You learn. You learn the theory, which is the content, and all, and after for every set of skills, which is like getting started with Git. Can you click on, like, for example, GitHub workflow? So that's a skill, for example, you know. So you progress to the learning. Okay, like next. So that's one of the skills. Okay, you mark it complete, and after you finish a certain chapter, there's a okay, you mark it complete also, and do next. I think it's a bit slow. Yeah, mark as complete, and next. And now you have an assessment that you need to take. You can continue like that. Go ahead.
Okay, now let's do it live. So let's hope this Git, let's say it is a system to keep the files. It is similar to a folder. I will try not to be too precise on these answers. So how the system is able to handle different type of answers.
Yeah, we're not super good students here, Gabriele.
Uh, you do not lose previous versions of files. Okay, last three questions. Push code GitHub. GitHub. And in the Git code files. And the last one.
Yeah. Just to add maybe on the one-to-one. So the one-to-one, it's a specific types of assessments that we use at Gomycode and apply, and it's basically like it's like a simulation and an exercise on a theoretical concept. So for us to assess if the students they have strong understanding of some of the theory of the learning theoretical concepts, that's how we assess them. We simulate like a human to human interview, but this is an AI to human interview. So this would typically be an interview. For example, you have a human asking you, "What is it? Can you explain to me that? What is this function? What is?" So the students they need to have and to understand this theory, you know. So like now it's human to AI. Explain.
Yeah. So basically, behind the system, we submitted our answers, and yeah, and the solutions were actually graded by an AI. Here we can see maybe firstly the kind of the solutions. So actually, all my answers weren't that good since I didn't really follow my code content, and I just wrote all the answers in 2 minutes. So I got a low scores. But yeah, you can see here that the feedback are actually personalized for the answers. They tell you what the problem was, what the correct answer is, and how you can prove it. And yeah, this was live. Actually, yeah, this was the one that I completely didn't reply, and so the actual score was
Yeah, and also, if, for example, you can see that there's the like and dislike button. If you're not really as a student, if you like a feedback, or it's not really super for you, you can give your feedback, and yeah, I mean, it's just
okay. That was all for the one-to-one part. Now we will show you the checkpoints part. So as we were saying before, uh, the checkpoints are mostly small projects that are done at the end of the course. So here we're still taking the Git course. So also the project is about Git. So and these are very basic start of a project of Git. So you basically have two files and use Git to manage all these files. So now I already prepared a solution here that I will just copy and paste. Quite okay. Now we submitted our our link. Now we have to wait a second to get it evaluated by the LAM. Maybe for just a second, I can show you what the actual submission was. So here we can see that the student created an empty file, and all the submission done by students were done through images. So here use the terminal to actually submit all his results. So usually the students should do this via a textual file, but here the students decided to use images, but that isn't really an issue for us, as we are able to handle both type of files. And maybe now let's go back here. Uh, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh, I forgot. We actually have to go to the instructor page to uh, to see the submission of students. So let's go to check.
so yeah, this is now the
Yeah,
instructor side. Yeah.
now I already had this open. This is the instructor that actually gave the checkpoints to the student. So here you can see that the student submitted the project. We can go to validate. Let's start the evaluation. Okay, now we have to wait a second to get the submission evaluated by students. But yeah, here, as you can see, the student is able to submit any kind of link that she wants. And here from the portal of the teacher, you can easily see the link. And in just a few moments, we'll have it actually reviewed by the AI.
Yeah, and also the good thing is basically there are no restrictions. No? Basically you can submit a GitHub, Google Drive link, any just images or text. So as long as it's relevant to the project or the checkpoint that you're taking, it's going to be processed.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention that in this case the project was quite small. So the teacher, if he hadn't the help of AI, he would have only to see about 15 images. But most of the time the projects are quite big. It takes a real person a lot of time to actually go through them. So here we can actually see the feedback. So for example, here we have so the criteria was to use all the commands indicated in the instructions, and the AI was able to see in an instant that the student missed one of the actual instructions that were required. So here the students needed to put their screenshots, the public the repository directory that we used was public, but the name wasn't really suitable for this kind of subject. So this got a average score. And yeah, in the end, the submission was considered quite good. Here we got the general report I was talking before, and here the students actually can read through this and can understand what he did good, he did bad, and how he can improve in the future.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's super specific as well, and there is also the option to edit the feedback as an instructor if you want something more detailed to your student. You can add it, and you can also regenerate the feedback as well. Yeah. Good, good. Okay. Now we can move on to some playground. The playground. Playground actually is kind of free for all. Let's say, and you have the ability to submit your own assignments, and for the one to either for the one to one or for the checkpoints. Okay. Here, here we have the playground. The one-to-one playground. So let's say you want to have a assignment, or you're a student and you want to use an assignment, or you to, for example, have some answers that you want to actually grade this. You can use the AiGrade actually to do this for you. For example, here for the sake of time, we prepared the one-to-one answer already. It's here. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. So, for example, here we have prepared a set of three questions and three answers, and we don't really have let's say the golden answers for all of them. So here we can add question blocks. We can, let's say, since we have in three, we're going to add three blocks, and we can put on the question here. For example, this one, let's say it's a track for Python essentials. What is the difference between a list and a dictionary in Python? The student answer here is he's a good answer. He's a good student, and he got the answer correctly. And you're, let's say, or in this case, you're a teacher and you already have the golden answer ready for you. So you got this. So let's say this is the first block where we provide the golden answer. It's a perfect answer, and we have the student answering the question. Now, for the second question, second scenario, you're a student, and what is the difference between a function and a method in Python? And this is question, and your answer was they are the same thing. They're just different things. So which is totally answer one, wrong one, and yeah. In this case, you don't have the correct answer. You can actually generate it and have the system actually generate the answer for you. And that will be passed to the grading system. For the third one, we have actually a question in French. So, quelle est la définition de l'héritage en programmation orientée objet? Donc, so actually, the good thing is that we handle all the language. So right now, you can submit your questions in French, and they would actually also be taken into consideration. Okay. So, and there's also here, if you don't really put the golden answer for you, it's optional, and the system will actually take care of this for you, and you can submit your assignment and have it graded. Now we're just going to wait for a little bit as everything is being processed. The good thing is that we're really going to have the assignment for all the assignment, the grading for the whole assignment. Okay. So here, for example, the student got a perfect answer, so you got a score of 2, and a feedback saying that good job, you correctly identified differences, etc. And still, gave it gave recommendations on how the student can enhance their answer. Where given, for example, it captures the essential distinction, keep up with work, etc. So yeah, for the second one, it's wrong and wrong answer, so we got a score of 0. And the feedback here, if you look, is really specific and given the student exactly the answer, it's explaining it in detail to see what to actually know how they can improve. For the last questions, since it's in French, the feedback also will be in French. So it's really customized, and this is what we mean by personalized learning, let's say, and detailed specific feedbacks for the students. Yeah. And at the end, you have a global assignment feedback where it highlights the strengths and the areas of improvement for the student, and it's really specific. Huh? So yeah, this is mainly it for the one-to-one. Now let's move on to some other case where we show how the system actually scales, and we have an example of let's say you're a student and you want to take an exercise on a certain platform and you want to actually have the grading for this. So we took an example that we don't cover in our system, and which is, for example, here it's a, let's say, code forces problem, which is can be found here. So we're going to take this. I prepared the small GitHub repo for this, and they're going to submit the link and see if the system is able to actually grade this or not. And I have this the code for this problem ready, and I have added some documentation. And we can go on, and I prepared the inputs for this. Yeah, let's say it's the code forces custom assignment. We can go here to the checkpoints playground, and we can say, let's start filling in the fields. So it's the code forces custom assignment, and the submission URL is, it's my GitHub repo. Okay. And here, the instructions, since I'm just a lazy student, I'm just going to give him all the information that is of the problem to the LLM, to our grading system, and have it grade everything. So just going to give it everything that's related. Yeah. And now, if you're a teacher and you want to add personalized criteria for this assignment, you can add it. And let's say here that we want the README file to be well documented and explaining the solution and the approach that's taken. So it needs to be very well documented. Let's add this. Okay. And we also want to add that the code must be well commented, having docstrings, clear variable names, etc. So these are personalized criteria that's going to be added and taken into consideration by the system. Okay, so now we have everything that's ready. Okay, we can click on Great Assignment. And it's going to take a little bit of time as to go to the link, download everything, do the whole process, and execute the whole pipeline for this. And we're going to get the report, personalized criteria, and have the performance on Monday. So yeah, the grading result here, we can see that the README file must be well documented, explaining the solution, etc. It's taken into consideration, and we got a score of 4 out of 10, since the README file only had the link. So it was actually, the system actually spotted this. And as for the code, etc., it's well commented and having docstrings. We also got a score of 4 since it was just plain code. As for the solution itself, we got the quality score, the quality feedback here, and everything is good since the solution actually solves the problem. And we have specifically detailed feedback for each part of submission. And we also have a report at the end demonstrating everything, submission that a good understanding of the problem. It provides a functional solution, and yeah, details everything that the student can take into consideration and come out of from this, let's say, problem. So yeah, this is mainly it. It took us only 13 seconds. So yeah, that's basically it, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for following the presentation. Maybe a short Q&A to take questions, if you have any questions on the live or...
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
No worries. Yeah.
Grading and correction.
Yes.
Pour économiser du temps, pour l'interaction. L'interaction en classe, j'étais enseignant. Si vous avez un groupe de 10 individus devant vous, vous ne pouvez pas interagir de façon égale avec chacun d'entre eux. Ma question, est-ce que la prochaine étape, c'est de faire la personnalisation, l'interaction individualisée par rapport à chacun, pour permettre à chacun de progresser à son propre rythme. Vous avez un groupe de 10 individus, ils n'ont pas le même rythme d'apprentissage, euh, ils ne sont pas au même niveau, mais comment permettre à chaque individu de progresser à son propre rythme, de progresser, les moins bons, d'avoir un contenu personnalisé pour progresser. Et il semble qu'il y a des plateformes qui permettent ça.
Okay, so just in English, the question is basically like, is the next step personalization per student? So not having like 10 students sort of having the same speed of learning and same content, but more personalization, and could AI help? You want to take it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few thoughts. I guess the answer it is a complex question because the application of these tools will be different from a school to another, from a regulatory system to another, from an institution to another. Clearly, at Gomyteacher, we don't have these regulatory limits. For us, we have much flexibility on the time with the teacher. But for university or school, it's really specific to that school, university, or that system. So I guess we're gonna readjust and adapt. But I mean, so maybe they cannot interact with the students face to face, but they have more time to interact as a group also. So that's the primary thing, and they have more time maybe to teach more students. So the way we see it is the time in logged because the teachers are not allocating it to grading, they can take more classes. So maybe like in a system like where the teacher can take up to 30 students a week, now they can take up to 50, 60 students a week because they have this bandwidth. So they can take other classes and they can provide more human to human feedback. I guess so. That's more on the allocation part. On the personalization, so the answer is already personalized. So the answer of the system is already personalized to the submission of the student. So you already have a level of personalization today with the student's answer and submission. Eventually, this is the first integration, which is really specific on grading. The second integration will be really specific on like content and exercises. And this is what we see like a great opportunity because some of the students are really moving ahead. So they need more projects, more exercises, more content, and that's going to be the second integration of the tool eventually.
Exactly. And to add to what Yahya said, what's interesting also is I think the team mentioned limitation due to context length. Those limitations are currently being overcome in AI. So technically speaking, we now have open source models. This is Llama 4 that has a 10 million token context length. So we're going to very quickly converge towards a world where we're going to have the entire history of the student in context for the model to provide personalized follow-up. So I think this is going to open up like next opportunities, which is the teacher animates the class, but also have his assistant follow every student, and perhaps the teacher can from time to time do like personalized follow-ups as well. But we are really fast, getting super quickly to a world where the education is going to be much, much better. And we need to measure it. The beauty of my code is that it's a large platforms will be able to actually precisely quantify those improvements. But already on AiGrade, I want to share this statistic because I don't think we discussed it, but the quality of the answers and not only the quantitative score, but the qualitative feedback that AiGrade, like iGrade part of Gomyteacher gives, it's already better than the average teacher. Essentially, it's like a sort of like an average of the very best teachers, and so it's really fantastic. Like you can see already the quality. So personalization is next, and this is not in the super long-term future. Like 10 million token context length, but technically means you could really feed the entire history of the student. So depending on sort of like next steps of the project, this could be rolled out super quickly. So this is perhaps also a message I want to share to the audience is everything that's playing out in AI is actually being played out extremely fast. We are used at a rhythm. Oh, things happen, and maybe next year, and maybe the year after. No, no, no. Right now, we are in the steep phase of the curve. It means that we have breakthroughs every month. And so, like a company like Gomycode that is fast, responsive, can deliver education like you've never seen in Africa in terms of quality and scaling, and make the impossible possible. This is really like absolutely extraordinary, and we're going to try to prove it in practice. That's the new challenge. Yes.
Yeah. I think maybe to add on what Karim is saying, I think eventually these systems will, of course, like improve and get smarter, and like the level of efficiency will like we're gonna have AI systems that are capable of doing grading, but even more like doing evaluation, group
Think,
evaluation.
yeah,
So
think about Go My
yeah,
Code has Einstein's teaching the students. This is what we're talking about.
the limit eventually would be motivation. So I think that's how we see it at least. The limit will be the students' motivation to use and apply these tools. So and that's why platforms like Go My Code with teachers make sense also because again the limit will be the students' motivation at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the interpersonal sort of like being in a class with friends, like
Exactly.
this is an important also aspect of the Go My Code model. You know, you could do everything online, okay? Is it the best experience and also the most productive? Maybe not, because humans, we like the interaction, we like to be around colleagues, mentors, we like the challenge, and you want to keep that. But certainly, you could make the model and sort of like the experience a lot more effective using those AI capabilities. So motivation is key, and this is why like having still in-person classes from time to time is fundamental.
Donc ma question, merci pour la présentation déjà. Donc moi j'ai une préoccupation pour apporter une réponse. Suite à mon conseil d'administration d'entreprise, bien sûr la préoccupation, c'est comment accélérer la mise en place de l'IA. Et on est confronté à la formation, à la compétence, etc. Surtout que c'est très difficile de recruter des talents IA. Donc la solution qu'on a commencé à mettre en place, c'est de faire de l'alternance avec des universités pour que les élèves passent les 4-5 ans à étudier de l'IA et à travailler pour l'entreprise. Après, et intégrer des startups, etc., pour ajouter du savoir-faire. Et on est confronté au problème comment former les collaborateurs dans l'entreprise. Je trouve que par cette solution, on peut proposer des bootcamps, on peut proposer des formations, etc., adaptées au contexte de l'entreprise, adaptées aux besoins en termes de compétences, en termes de format. Et presque pour un groupe, c'est cette solution, pour un autre groupe, c'est une autre solution. J'imagine que c'est ça.
Absolutely, and I think what's interesting is, so the question is, we're trying to bring AI know-how in the enterprise. We have difficulties sometimes finding those talents, etc. I think what Go My Code does here is key to unlocking the solution, which is upskilling people highly motivated to learn about AI, also empowering students out of university with all the tools. But what is interesting is perhaps what could have required, let's say, a significant sort of AI team in your company. Perhaps like 5 years ago, you would have needed like 20, 30 people who are experts to get what you want to do done. Today is not needed. Like if you have 5 to 10 high quality team members that are knowledgeable about AI, knowledgeable about programming, UI, UX, software, capable of building the kind of platforms we're discussing, with AI agents on top, literally like digital AI colleagues doing the programming and etc. and building the product, you could effectively, and this might be surprising, but this is true, the order of magnitude sort of impact of having AI agents is 100. So for the budget of having 3 people, you could have 300 AI agents, literally like Einstein's coding day and night for your project, and working with your human colleagues. So long story short, where you needed perhaps a team of 20, 30, 50 people or more, you could do the work today with a team of 5 to 10 people who are really good, communicate really well, and can manage agents.
And people,
No, it's like yes, it's. I don't know if you hear me, but it's actually good news because the question is, hey, is this good news or not for AI experts? And it's good news fundamentally because, and this is the same for when people say, oh, for example, DeepSeek R1, the new AI model came in, so I don't need all those GPUs. Maybe I need less compute. In reality, and this is extremely important to understand, we are still supply constrained in AI. So what do we mean by that? We mean that if the AI system was better, or if I had more people qualified in AI, I could do so much more. And so the limit is the quantity of compute, AI capacity, but also the quality of AI. And a simple example is self-driving. Imagine if the car could today drive super safe, like 10 times better than human, well, you would have a lot less death on the road, and you could spend that time in the car being productive or just having a nap or something. So what I'm saying is we're still supply constrained, which means that all this progress is unlocking more supply, but by unlocking more supply, really satisfies more demand. Like in a sense, demand is still almost infinite, and so I'm not worried about AI experts going out of a job anytime soon, or worried about like you build a massive compute cluster, is it going to be used or not? It will be used, and this is a part people very often miss. They're like, oh, why do we need this $100 billion investments in infrastructure now that the models are so efficient? It's because we could still do a lot more. Like solve diseases, improve education, have a much more efficient economy. And so that's actually good news for everybody. And it means that projects like Gomyteacher are critical for the future. It's all about like unlocking the potential for all of you to use AI to do things that were not possible. And think about what you would do if you had a team of geniuses working for you. That's what we're talking about.
on va former les 5-6 personnes clés qui vont faire le travail nécessaire plutôt que les 50. Et on a besoin de faire monter des compétences dans l'entreprise en termes d'utilisation d'IA ou interaction avec IA. Different level of.
You still need very qualified people. That's good news.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, there is a good reference. The founder of, I believe, Shopify just shared a note. Actually, you can look at the founder of Shopify on his X Twitter page, and he shared like a 2 or 3 pages length on how it's really important for every single person in the company to be applying AI tools on the daily basis, and this is a company rule. So I think there is an application of like, okay, you need like really senior people on the team to build the system, but also there is the application across all teams, marketing, design, sales, operations, finance. Yeah. We actually have we have a generative AI course. We have few ML. Yeah.
Economies and how we can leverage that.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. GDP could grow substantially faster with the sort of like deployment of AI in the economy. I think you will see that in the next 3-5 years. Given what is happening right now in AI, I will give you perhaps something that's going to surprise you. But I actually believe we're going to reach AGI at the end of this. And so let me define what I mean by AGI, artificial general intelligence. It means 80 to 90% of economically meaningful cognitive, human cognitive jobs. Okay. So 80 to 90% of cognitive jobs normalized by the importance. So think like lawyers, how much of a sector of the economy is lawyers, service lawyers, okay, normalized by that, weight by that. 80 to 90% of cognitive jobs this year, at the end of this year, AI will do it than better or equal, let's say, than the top 30% of human professionals doing that cognitive task. Okay. So this is really extraordinary. And I mean, I've been in AI for a while now, for more than 10 years. What's the most surprising thing is people underestimate what's going on, even the experts. And so this is happening much faster. And so what you will see is an impact on GDP, which is going to be very visible in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So this year is the year of agents. Next year, you'll see the emergence of humanoid robotics starting to be really. You see a lot of cool demos, robots doing kung fu and dancing and stuff. Next year, you will see them in the factory doing work that humans would have done. But just if you just take the cognitive tasks, this is happening this year. The leading AI labs estimate that 80 to 90% of the code they will be producing will be produced by their own AIs at the end of this year. So definitely, I mean, we're not going to see crazy scenarios like 30% GDP growth because the reality is the economy is a super slow beast and it takes time to get into it. But you're definitely going to see very tangible growth by the economies that adopt this. And personally, I'm passionate about making sure that Africa takes this opportunity. I actually even wrote a book recently on the topic. It's actually possible, and it comes with digital upskilling, exactly what Gomyteacher is doing. That's the step number one to get into that. So for the non-cognitive tasks, which is like physical labor tasks, this is coming. It will play out a little bit more slowly because it's like physics, like manual and like a real world kind of thing. But still, you will see humanoid robotics doing meaningful work next year. In reality, like if you look at where we are in robotics, and in particular, I'm looking at humanoid robotics. So that a form factor that is exactly the same as a human, weighs the same as human, can do what a human does, has 5 fingers in each hand, etc. Some degrees of freedom. Uh, this is actually not a hardware problem anymore. It's actually a software problem today. Coming back to AI is supply constraint. It's really a software problem. We have the humanoid robots now, and the question is, can we get them to do smart things? Can we help them coordinate, do dexterity movements in the factory or etc.? And since it's a software problem, an AI and software problem, you know for a fact this will be solved, and it's actually being solved now, which means that you will see starting to have meaningful productivity impact in the, I would say, 2 to 3 years. But again, the idea here is not necessarily to replace human workers, is to vastly expand the economy. The economy is not a zero-sum game. And so with those AI agents, with these humanoid robots, you could go into much bigger GDP. So going back to the GDP question, I think by the end of this decade, you're going to see some spectacular growth GDP-wise. This will become tangible, but it's not for next 2 years.
Maybe you can present yourself.
No, yeah. Hi, my name is Starman, and I'm joining Gomyteacher recently to work on this exciting project. So
Awesome.
yes, and the next question is about the difference between those who have who those who control the resources and those who don't. Like we have the Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos who have a lot of control over AI and the resources, and they will have a lot of wealth, and there will be the gap between those who have wealth and those who don't is going to widen even further. So what do you think about that? And what should happen to those who have
Yes,
those
yeah,
rights?
that's a very important question, and this actually drives all what I do personally. And it's also why I wrote a book called Leapfrog on the topic. It's like how Africa and the developing world can benefit from AI. The key point to remember is that AI can actually lift all boats. So So what we don't want is a situation where some people get extremely powerful and rich, while others cannot have a decent life. What we want is a situation where AI lifts all boats. Realistically, we're not going to lift all boats the same way, but if you could have a net benefit to society, to everyone really, that would be amazing. Now, the good news is we are really moving fast forward to an economy of abundance. Energy is going to become abundant, notably with solar, which is now cheaper and more competitive than oil and gas. And intelligence is going to be abundant. Each one of you soon will be able to literally run a team of Einsteins if you want. So what I'm saying is there is a possibility for the developing world to seize this opportunity. And how to do it is small digital teams, like small startups, very agile team, building up with 5, 10 people, having the productivity of a team of 300, having a local cost base, like here in Tunis, with a global reach and selling their product in dollars or Bitcoin or whatever, like having a world market. This actually, I believe, is a very sustainable model. So it's actually possible to make it a win for everybody. And this is certainly something we should be working on. That's what we're trying to do. Cool, maybe one question. This is a cool question, by the way.
Um, Thank you so much for the presentation. I think it's really exciting what you just presented, and I see it as an opportunity to be deployed nationwide for national exams like the baccalaureate. I think it would provide a lot of support. But my question here is kind of, let's say, ethical. So here, the teacher is using AI for grading. Isn't it just fair enough for the student to use AI to do the assignment? And if the student is using AI to do the assignment, would that really be beneficial for them in the future?
Yeah, you want this one?
Yeah, I mean, this question is, in principle, every single AI tool you have, vice versa. I think specifically in education, I think there's both views split on this topic, of course. In a say, students actually can get to experiment with this tool because they can have a way for them to like improve their skills through getting feedback. Let's say as a playground, you can think about it as a game, where the students are submitting project answers based on the answers, improving their answers. There's a positive aspect on this, but clearly this will be integrated partially in schools and where you have some institutional structure, where the exams are structured, where the assessments are structured. So for now, we're deploying it with teachers in schools, and we don't have an open version for students. But I can see a way to make this more like a game, or like a platform for students to like experiment and self learn. And there's a really strong benefit from that, I guess. And we want to think about education at Gomyteacher and this. So the problem with assessments at school or like tests, which is the problem of students, they tend to optimize the results, not the knowledge itself. So we want to stay far away from that. So we want the students to focus on the knowledge. So the moment you start putting constraints around these tools only for teachers, or you make it the student's goal to focus on hacking his way in to have a good score, where the purpose is not that. The purpose is that the students are acquiring knowledge and they're learning. So, I mean, for Gomai Code specifically, we think that's broken in traditional education, where like students' focus should be on learning, should not be on results. So we don't see necessarily an ethical practice inside the company, but it could be constrained in some schools or universities where it's more strict. But again, the application will be different. But I can see a case where we have a student version of this, where it's more like a playground where the students are actually submitting projects, getting and testing their skills and improving. And I can see a way to have a student's application around that, and it could be really beneficial. Yeah.
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 So basically, you need the student to have fundamental knowledge and understanding what they're doing, and that means like not using the AI. But at the same time, they need to be part of their time and use those capabilities to go beyond. So somehow we need both, and it has to be done in a smart way. And I really like what you said. Yeah, it's really about the process and the learning. It's not about the results. By the way, I'm an AI researcher. It's the same exact principle. It's what cracked the latest breakthrough in AI that is taking us to AGI, which is asking systems not just to give the right answer, but to have the correct reasoning and chain of thoughts to get there, which we call like a process-driven optimization. Then it's just outcome-based optimization, and that's exactly what you want from. Cool.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining the session. And actually, the website is available on gomyteacher.com. You can see the screenshots, the presentation. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And congrats to the two teams who did a really great work. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.